So, welcome back to the Inner Circuit podcast, where we explore journeys of entrepreneurs, creators, and change makers who are carving their own paths in today's fast moving world. Today, I'm thrilled to have an incredibly talented guest, Ms Imrit Sira, a leading makeup artist in the UK, specializing in fashion and bridal makeup. With years of experience in the beauty industry, she has worked with countless brides, models, and creatives, bringing their visions to life. Beyond her work as a makeup artist, she is also a beauty expert columnist for Eastern Eye, a leading British Asian newspaper. Imrit understands the deeper connection between beauty, confidence, and self expression. In an industry that's constantly evolving with new trends, competition, and the influence of social media, she has built a name for herself by staying ahead and helping her clients feel their absolute best. So let's get to it. Welcome to the show, Imrit. Hi,
Hi,
Imrit.
what an introduction. Thank you so much for having me, Isha. I'm so excited to answer all your questions today.
I'm super excited, and we've been waiting for this for a while, but I'm so glad that we're doing this today. So, Imre, to get started, if you can share a bit about your journey, what inspired you to become a makeup artist?
Okay, so my journey started about 11 years ago. I trained to be a hair and makeup artist. I took a course, but I feel that my journey to creativity and makeup started from such a young age. I think all girls do this, especially they love watching their mum get ready and glammed and putting their makeup on. So this was definitely me from like a really, really young age. I just used to be so fascinated with how my mum just used to be my mum, and then all of a sudden, wow, she just lipstick on and Kajal was her thing. I think all mums still have this where Kajal is their thing, right? And I feel like, oh my God, I just love it. And then I just used to experiment growing up, even as a teen, with my mum's makeup. And she was obviously horrified because her main thing was you need to focus on your studies. But she was supportive in the sense of understanding that I was more leaning towards the creativity side in my education as opposed to the academic side. So I actually studied art as one of my major subjects, and then I studied textiles as well. So after my sort of GCSEs, I got really great marks in art and text. I went on to do fashion designing at university, and that's where my kind of creativity really got started. I mean, I was buy all these products from high street brands, and then I used to experiment with my friends at university, especially if we were going out for a night out for a dinner or out to a party or something. I used to be like, right, I'll do your eyeliner, or I'll do your eyebrows or your foundation, and that's where
Yeah.
this whole thing kind of got started. So it was actually start a course and learning it properly. So that's where my journey sort of. I feel like I probably started a little bit later on because I went into buying, and then I went into recruitment, and then I did the course, and then I realized, oh my, I do not want to be doing anything apart from working for myself. So it was a bit of a risk for me, but I knew that I love the creative side.
Yeah.
It's like painting, isn't it, really? And I love the
Yeah.
fact that I could actually build a rapport with my clients, which was the main thing, and make them feel amazing, to feel good for their big day.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, how young were you when you started your own
Yeah.
makeup artist brand? And after training, was it hard to kind of get into the business in the industry?
Yeah. So I trained at the age of about 25. I'm showing you my age now. So I trained at the age of about 25, 20, and then I didn't actually get it kick-started until I was about 28 in terms of leaving my job and thinking this is what I want to do full time. So I remember coming home one day and saying to my mum, I've left my job. And she was like, are you joking? And I was like, no, I'm going to do this full time. And she was obviously very concerned because it was something that I would make money on the weekend. So I would have my full time job. And then Saturday and Sunday, I just used to do a few clients here and there. But I mean, I took it seriously, but I was just so exhausted from working full time and then doing the clients on the weekend, especially with the early starts. And then I just decision get started. It was a bit daunting at first because you just don't know when you're going to get your next client. But I was really determined to client base, and it started off word of mouth. I think is the main thing that people sort of go by, and then obviously your social media, your Instagram, how you build on things. So the key thing for me was to actually understand what a artist is doing. Yeah. So when I first started, there was a lot of top makeup artists, and it was an emerging sort of industry. And
Mhm.
again, at that time, I thought, have I entered it at the right sort of stage? And I remember thinking, should I actually do this now? Because, like I said, I was about 26 then, and I thought maybe I should have started when I was old. But I thought, let's just go for it. And what I noticed was it was very, very heavy makeup. And I thought, well, actually, I want to do something that enhance someone's features rather than just completely changing what they look like. So the key starting point for me was to act someone's natural features, bringing their features out and actually making them feel comfortable. USP I felt at that time, and even till today, I feel like with clients, they book me because I make people look glam, but they still look like themselves. So once I kind of conquered that signature style, that's where I felt that things started to be
Yeah.
a lot more.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
prefer having natural self as well. During my wedding time, when I went for trials for bridal makeup, and they would put so much makeup on, and I was like, no, this is not
Mhm.
what I want. I don't want to look like a doll. I want to look like my natural self. Okay, good. My next question was, when you started out, what were the challenges that you faced? And you answered some of it, saying that the client base that you had to establish starting out. And yeah, so do you want to elaborate on that point?
Me was to actually obviously get myself out there and people to know who I am. And it all I remember is that it was really hard for me, to get started. And I was doing things like the whole sort of Instagram, social media. I was working as part of an agency as well, as part of a small sort of team at that time with us. And it was just word of mouth, to be completely honest with you, friends or family.
I think
Yeah.
the initial challenges for any business would be to get more business, right? So when you started out your business and now when you've built your brand, do you think social media has helped build your personal brand?
Yeah, massively. It has helped. Also, as well, consistency has really elevated some of these things with any sort of creative industry. You have to be really, consistent. You've got to do a lot where sometimes you think to yourself, actually, do I want to do this? But if you're collaborating with certain people, it that's another thing that kind of helps elevate your profile as well.
So, in terms of the industry itself, because it's ever changing, there are new products coming out, there's new techniques and all. So, how do you kind of stay on top of it? Is that tiring? Is that annoying? Even in the legal industry,
Um,
is always changing. So, you have to constantly be updated with the laws and everything. So, similarly, I'm sure because yours is like,
yeah,
yeah, with every change, there is new stuff coming in. So, how do you deal with that?
always fun browsing on TikTok and Instagram and figuring out all these new trends and new hacks, which I absolutely love watching. Long time. I've built my client base based opposed to completely changing their sort of makeup style. And some of the tricks and trends can do that. Like contouring is a massive thing. And you can go from basic contouring to really extreme contouring, which is obviously like a massive trend. It has been a trend for decades now, because it came from a queen sort of trend. That's where contouring was kind of formed. So I do follow the trends, and I do follow what other makeup artists do in terms of promoting hacks and things like that, and showing different ways to do different makeup looks. But I make it my own, essentially. So what works for that makeup artist and what they're showing wouldn't necessarily work for my clientele, if that makes sense. So I think you have to evolve as a makeup artist for sure. You have to go with the trends and see what's happening, but I think you still have to kind of make it your own at the same time. And I feel like makeup has
Yeah.
changed a lot from when I started doing makeup as well. And I feel like now it's more about being more minimal and enhancing
Mm.
um, your natural beauty, if that makes sense, and not putting that much foundation on, and more sort of like soft glam, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think I'm that person too. Do you think technology with all these filters and AI and, has that kind of impacted your business in any manner? Or do you think it's still in the early stages?
I think, ooh, people do use AI. This is a bit of one of these questions where I think AI, you can use AI to enhance certain aspects of, let's say, your work. I see it is it's not, you're not going to get the same result as a human being, okay? Because you feed AI with certain things and it produces, a look, right? But having a human being actually doing the creation process is
Mm.
totally different. So, okay, let's look at social media, for example. A lot of people will use AI to change their face completely, right? But I can always tell, and if I can tell, I'm sure so many other people can tell the difference between something that is AI generated and not AI generated. So artists and anything that is creative, yes, of course, we do use it to a certain extent, because when I pictures, I know sometimes, especially in a wedding house, there's just so much stuff like, oh my God, I just need to get rid of that. So yeah, I do use it for lighting. I use it to, brighten the whole image. But really and truly, you can't use AI or filters as such to completely change somebody's face. Really going to annoy the client for a start, because that's not them that you're posting, and it's false advertisement, isn't it? Really. Um, some people
Yeah.
dream cases of it, but I think it's okay to change things a little bit, yeah, to enhance your image without changing your makeup, because it looks really obvious and it doesn't go down well. And actually,
Yeah.
you have to make your pictures look appealing. You have to make them look nice, because we do rely heavily on social media to book the artist. Whatever service you're providing, your pictures need to look appealing, right? So it's okay to use it to a
Yeah.
certain extent, but not overly use it. That's all.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people use it because they feel that there may be some aspect of their face that they are probably not happy about or insecure about, and then to kind of shield it with a filter, it probably gives them a sense of confidence,
Yeah.
um, by looking a certain way that they aren't. What's your view on outer beauty? Do you think makeup can help people boost their confidence beyond their appearance? What do you notice in your clients and from a human psychology perspective?
It's quite sweet, because you book makeup artists like sometimes a year, sometimes they'll book me a year in advance. And they are so much looking forward to that moment of just getting ready and glammed. And actually, a lot of some of my clients that I have are very good with makeup, and some of them don't know anything about makeup. And it's just nice to provide a service where actually, first and foremost, they can actually sit back and relax, because a lot of the time, they're in a stressful environment and a wedding, or they just actually don't have the time to
Yeah.
actually and get themselves ready. So firstly, it's a relaxation thing for them. Secondly, it's something that, when they look at themselves in the mirror, they're just very It is a confidence. It's a nice feeling for them. I have some clients that are like new mums as well, and just getting themselves and it just makes them feel that, oh my god, I just look put together, I look nice, and I just look elegant and glad. It's I think I've had a few clients that have cried and been like, oh my god, I've never looked this good before. But personal thing, you get clients that actually really invest in you and they want the service
Mm,
and they just want to feel amazing. Then you get some clients that are really good and it's like, oh, to do my makeup, therefore I've hired you and I just want the job done so I can just be ready on time. So yeah, it's a nice, but I always believe that it does come from within. There's only so much makeup can do at the same time, very much of a mental thing. Makeup and hair can make you feel better, but ultimately you've got to kind of go in. I always say that this is something that I obviously being part of the makeup industry, as I'm getting older, I'm like, oh my God, I have to show my face constantly, and I have it in me. And I think it's just human nature for people to have it. But it really does, like I
yeah.
said, it does come from within. Sometimes people go for Botox and fillers, nothing wrong with that. But you are going to get older, and that is something that is inevitable. So I guess with some of the older clients that I have, they used to, when they were younger, do the whole eyeliner and put the lashes on and everything. As they've got older, they feel like their skin has changed, their features have changed, and they don't necessarily know how to, do that anymore or make themselves look glam according to their age sort of category. So that's what I really find rewarding because essentially I'm going there to provide a service, but I'm actually making them feel really good about themselves. Something that they would have done when they were younger, they don't know how to do now because their eye shapes have changed. Or it's giving
Mm,
them that confidence that I can still look amazing, but you need less product because
mm,
the same thing that you were using 10, 15 years ago is not going to work on your skin now because your skin's different. And it is
yeah,
educational,
yeah,
sometimes you get clients that
for
will
sure.
say, actually, I don't know how to put eyeliner anymore, or how did you do that? I used to put eyeliner all the time. But then I say, well, actually, don't use a liquid eyeliner, use a shadow based liner now because you can still create that, but just according to your skin, you need to process up a little bit. So,
That's awesome. I think you've got a kind of a niche developing there for your business, the older clientele or the older. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, we don't look at makeup so intensely, and we don't kind of really discuss it the way we are discussing today. But yeah, I mean,
mm,
I've never really thought about it. How my mum, who is in 60s, would feel about doing makeup. I think she has reduced her makeup, like her eyes. She doesn't do her eyes anymore because she feels like she's got wrinkles and stuff and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Do you feel there's a difference in the Eastern and Western societies or their perception of makeup? Do you
yeah.
think the women in the Eastern culture, they kind of change their mindset on makeup as they grow older, whereas in the Western societies, regardless of the age, women have this, they have the self perception and they want to look a certain way. Why do you think that is? Is that because they lack confidence, or do you think the women in the Eastern society get a bit careless as they grow old and they don't kind of really focus on how they look? What do you think
Mm,
the mindset is? Why are these societies, like the women in
okay.
these societies, so different? Let's make up.
Yeah. Okay. I would say in answer to that question is I think you know especially in culture, I think there's always a process to life. Get married, have kids, and then your life is about your career, I'd say, and your children, your family. And sometimes you get so consumed in that environment that you forget to after yourself and the things that you enjoyed doing when you were younger, you you don't do as much. So whereas the Western society, in terms of maybe The husband is probably more supportive, whereas they get more involved with the kids. I'm not stereotyping anybody, but I've seen as well when I go to clients' houses sometimes, the man of the house is so like, oh, you feed the kids, you do this, you do that. And the wife is like, I just need an hour to get my hair and makeup done. So it comes from that perspective as well. And that's why I feel like, um, especially from the Eastern society, like Asian women, they probably do really look forward to having just somebody there for that 1 or 2 hours just to make them feel good, just to make them look good, because they're concentrating on everybody else, I'd probably say, around them, as opposed to how they want to be or what they want to do or how they want to look. And I think with the Western society, it's they're a bit more relaxed. They take time to go to the gym, they go cycling, they go swimming more. I'd probably say, and they look after their mental health. Because they prioritize themselves as opposed to prioritizing everybody else. So that's where I'd probably say the two differences are. I think there's this play a factor in it, and the makeup that I used to do 10 years ago is completely different to what I do now. I personally feel like if I was to do that to a certain amount of the same level of layers and makeup, it just wouldn't look right. And I'd probably make myself look a lot older than I am, just because it wouldn't sit right on my skin. So I think this is kind of something that we need to break free, and I feel like over the years has changed, because now I find that a lot of clients are now saying, actually, I've booked you because I like the fact that you might have applied a full face of makeup on, but you've applied it strategically where it still looks like elegant and it doesn't caked. You do get some clients that really want the full glam, which is absolutely fine, but there's ways of doing it. I mean, I will, again, it's down to your sort of client base as well, and what sort of clients that you attract. But I will not get a client that would want a full on like glam.
It's interesting how the Eastern and Western societies, women are in these societies. I've noticed people abroad, I mean, outside of India, they really look after themselves. They're very particular of how they look, what's the look that they are wearing that day, like clothes, makeup, everything, right? So they're very particular, and they actually kind of pay a lot of attention to how they look. I mean, they'll do their hair, they'll do their makeup, they won't leave the house without that. Because I've seen how people perceive you, because people do judge you if you don't look a certain way. So I think it's the society and the
Mm,
culture of this place that, that kind of you have to look or be a certain way to fit in. So my next question, Imrit, is that obviously the industry is highly competitive. So how do
yeah,
you handle that competition, right? And how do you build
yeah.
your client relations? Yeah, because wedding industry is really competitive, and I've had members who are in the wedding industry, and obviously you're privy to that as well. So how do you kind of deal with that stress and the pressure and the competition?
Um, Interesting question. It's a bit of a difficult one to answer, actually. I think, as we mentioned in the previous points as well, I think it does. So there's word of mouth, which people do. I'd probably say 80% of my business does come from that, because you are dealing with somebody at the end of the day, that for their big day or for events or
Yeah.
party, whatever, and so having that rapport and having somebody vouch for you is a massive thing. Um, Competition wise, I've never, and I'm not just saying, because I feel like if you get into this of comparing yourself and trying to compete, it's just downhill from there. And when I started as a makeup artist, and when I left my job and I thought, right, I'm going to do this full time, this was one thing that I really had to get my head around, was I'm not going to look at what everybody else is doing. I'm going to concentrate on what I know, what I believe is going to work for me, and just keep my head down and just move forward with it. And touch wood, till this day, my clients book me based on that niche, based on the fact that customer service is one thing, but it's actually making people still look nice, but still themselves, something that they're comfortable in. Making them feel really comfortable is really important. So I've gone by that motto from day one. I don't try and compete. I don't compare. Um, Try and be flexible when it comes to certain things, like, let's say, pricing, for example. A lot of client, because there are a lot of new. I call them new kids on the block, because this is another topic that we're going to get to. So youngsters are makeup artists, in terms of they are self-made, like not doing a course, and they're just very talented, and that they've formed their career based on that. Nothing wrong with that. Some people prefer to educational route, some people prefer to just be self-taught, right? So they are the ones that
Yeah.
I know are going to be undercutting a lot of these makeup artists that have been doing this for years. That does come into factor in terms of they are lowering their prices. But then again, it depends on what everybody's budget is. So I believe that this year, actually, it's actually proven to be slightly challenging, I feel. And it's not just myself. I've spoken to a few colleagues in the makeup industry and the wedding industry, and they are saying the same thing, that there are people out there that have come in, and that the newcomers that are undercutting and are actually saying, actually, well, we can do this, this, and this for you for this price point. Everybody, rightly so, has their own budgets. Weddings can get really expensive, so everybody has to do what's right for them. But
Yeah.
you essentially, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but you get the experience, and you do pay for what you get. Yeah. So in terms of
Yeah.
competition, that's the only thing that I would say, price point wise. It can get a bit competitive, and
Mm.
what you offer them and what other people offer as well.
I totally agree with that, because your experience in
Mm,
any industry should commensurate your income. And the more experienced you are, you should
uh,
be able to demand more pay. So, and with these new people, although they are disrupting the pricing of the services, but at the end of the day, I think people with more experience will definitely stand out. That's my view. And so, what would your advice be to these young people on the block, generally, in terms of
you could
making it in
yeah.
the makeup industry, aside from not disrupting the pricing structure?
I would say that being in the makeup industry it's fun, and it might look from the outset that it's really, really glam, but that's all that some people see. The reality of the situation is it's hard work, it's early hours, sometimes you're working 12 hours a day, but it's really, really rewarding. If you can put the hard work in and the dedication in, then this is for you. And you enjoy being creative, and you enjoy talking to people, and making them, it really is one of these jobs that, people sometimes become doctors because they find it rewarding. Like for me, I find this job, people feel good about themselves, and it makes me feel good that I've left them feeling really happy, I've done the job justice. Like, I really enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And yes, it is hard work, like I said, the hours, and sometimes you have to compromise on your social life a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot. I would
Yeah.
say, to be completely honest with you. I love the fact that I can, work my own hours, and I can sometimes finish my shift at 7 a.m. in the morning. It might be a 3 to 7 shift, but then I've got the whole day free for myself. That's what I enjoy, choosing my own hours, being my own boss. Yeah. So I would say I have doing the training side of it as well, because I really, and um I enjoy mentoring. I enjoy, being that person for, let's, to help somebody, if they're unsure about certain things and they want to elevate their skills, or if they decide that, actually, I want to make up artistry as a side hustle. I'm not going to lie, some of them haven't continued it, because when I've gone back to them, how are you doing, how's things, really love it, but I just do it for my family now because the early starts are just too much for me. So it is a real job where you got to put the dedication in, and especially for people that have full-time jobs, it does get a bit too
Mm.
much for them because they have the full-time job and then they do this on the weekend. That would be
Yeah,
my
yeah.
advice.
I think that dedication and that vision that I will give my 100% in this job is so crucial because if I'm a client, I will expect you to be there before my function starts, at least like 3 hours before, right? And to be able to keep room for any sort of something. What if something goes wrong? How do you fix that? You need ample time to do that as well. Yeah, yeah. So I think from a client's perspective, I would get someone who is 100% knows what they're doing, and because I don't know much about makeup, right? So I'm relying on the artist to kind of give me a look, the look or whatever. So they have to be reliable, they have to be dedicated and responsible. I mean, and show up on time. Yeah, that sense of professionalism should also be there
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
young artists. Okay, and what are the biggest mistakes you reckon they are making when entering the industry? Oh, I mean,
Um,
beginners make when they, industry.
Looking at short-term goal rather than long-term goal. I think they are just,
Hmm,
again, it comes down to the money thing. Okay, how many people can I do in a short space of time and get the most amount of money? I think that's the mindset. Whereas actually, it's
hmm,
not about that. It's going in and know however long it's going to take, it's going to take. Obviously, there needs to be some sort of a time cap when it comes to per client. But it's like going from one client to another, rushing, not finishing the job, things. Again, it's hearsay because another thing with this industry is it's as big as it is, it's not that big because everybody knows each other. So it's really important that
hmm.
actually you deliver, you do your best, and sometimes you do have to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, in terms of, let's say, a client asks you for a certain look and you say, okay, I think this would look better. But if they are really adamant with this, fine, you try and work with them. But at the end of the day, you don't want them to then say, she was not listening to me, or she was not attentive to me, or she didn't give me what I wasn't asking. It's things
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
where you've got to be mindful. Yes, people always think that makeup artists, it's funny because I have some people that are like, oh my God, you guys make so much money. And it's like, okay, but you do understand that it's not guaranteed. Like it might be wedding season, but there are so many
Yeah,
other thousands of makeup artists. It doesn't mean that you're going to be taking all of the money for this. Do you know what I mean? For this season.
yeah,
And yes, the money is good when it's good, but it's tiring. It's very tiring. Like sometimes you just don't eat. Like I do not eat for like a whole day sometimes, and then I'll come home in the evening, and then I'm like, I just actually don't want to eat now because I'm just too tired.
yeah.
I think, yeah, in terms of people that are coming into the industry, not all, so please don't quote me on that, but I think this reality, because again, it comes down
Mm,
to the fact that people think, okay, glam job, you just do the work, you enjoy what you do in a certain amount of time and earn this much in a certain amount of time, but
mm,
sometimes they don't think
mm.
of the long term gain because the clients do talk, people do talk. Your business is not going to grow if
Yeah,
you are not attentive to your client the end of the day.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So you mentioned about uncertainty in the job markets, like when it's not wedding season, right? So in times of uncertainty, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Those times, like what is your mindset then?
And it just makes me think, what am I not doing that other people are doing? Why am I not getting the bookings in? It that is missing because I've been doing this for long enough now.
Mm,
So many repeat customers that you're going to get. How do I bring the new customers in? And
mm,
recently, I need to start changing things up. I need to maybe introduce different things in my business, where I can for more perhaps, or give them different price
Yeah.
points. That's something that I've been thinking about because what I've found recently, I believe that a lot of people are struggling financially, which is, I think we're in this time, of the year. Not of the year. I think for the last 2 years, it's been a bit of a financial struggle for a lot of people. Jobs are uncertain, and ever since COVID and things are just people have a different mindset as well.
Yeah.
So they are very money
Yeah.
conscious, and with COVID,
Mm.
as well that happened, people have now started thinking, actually, we want smaller weddings. So they want less people. And because they have less people, I'll sometimes get a bride that will be like 50 people at my wedding. What can you do with the price? This is just an example, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
mindset is doesn't really matter how many people you've got. If I'm creating a bridal look on you, I'm still going to create that bridal look on you. I'm still going to be there for a number of hours. But I think a lot of people have changed in the sense of they don't want they don't let's say for example they're having a smaller wedding, so they'll say, actually, I don't need you for this, or I don't need you for that. What can you do on the price? The point where some clients are saying, I
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
want lashes, or I don't want you to do my outfit styling. Can you reduce the price? That does
Mm.
make me think that actually there is an issue with the reason why other makeup artists are getting booked is because that they are obviously lowering their price point. Number one, it just becomes very apparent when you start talking to clients because inquiries do come in, but maybe it might be a case of, like I said, I might not be offering them the price that they're looking for. When things like this happen, I do think to myself, how can I rectify it? Maybe I need to start doing different things where I just offer a hair only package or a makeup only package, and different packages where I can offer to clients that they can pick and choose what they want, like more of a bespoke service.
Mm.
This is something that
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
about.
As a business owner, you have to think what works, what doesn't work. And like you mentioned, post COVID, there's been so much change in people's mindset about spending on weddings. They want smaller weddings and they want to cut down expenses. Even the looks that the brides want are minimalistic. So, in that sense, obviously, you will want to kind of pivot your business and your business strategy to suit that kind of environment and that kind of market to get more business. So, yeah, it does make sense. So, now, in this segment, I'll let you ask a question about my book, which is um, which is a book about Ashtanga yoga. I've explained it in simple terms, and I've written it in a manner that anyone will be able to understand it. And then it's got a roadmap for 28 days, which you can follow, not just the poses, the asanas, it's also about how you can concentrate, meditate. It's a mix of everything, entirely about Ashtanga Yoga.
Okay, so your background is in law, right? I just wanted to, and what made you want to go into mental healing? Okay, so I want to know, Esther, what inspired you to write this book?
So, yeah, Imrit, so I'm a dual qualified lawyer in the UK and in India. And I have about a decade of experience in legal practice. But I've done yoga since I was a kid, right? And I've seen the effects of yoga, and not just the physical aspect, but even the mental aspect, how important it is to kind of strengthen your mind. And there's a concept there which says not just the mind, but your intellect, which in Hindi we call buddhi. So basically, it's how one can train their mind to see things objectively. I've had a lot of friends who are in their 30s now, and like any Indian kid, they were being pressurized to get married, because the clock was ticking and they were 30, not married. And so these friends were having mental health issues in the sense that they were going through anxiety and depression just because of the pressures that were being imposed by their family to get married, basically. So, and then they started therapy. But I'm not against therapy, but I feel like there's so much we can do with ourselves to strengthen our mind and to deal with situations. And because as
Mm.
millennials and the younger generations, we want things instantly, so we are losing that patience or that belief that, okay, things will come to you when they're meant to come to you, right? So I think there was a lot of chaos in their minds, and I wanted to help them, which is why I was inspired to write this book. And it took me a while to write this because I felt pregnant, and then I delivered, and then I kind of really got serious about writing. The book's launched in November last year. So that's how I came about it. So yeah, it's probably not heard
Mm.
of, like a
Amazing.
lawyer talking about spirituality or your inner self or mental health. But I think lawyers are the most affected with stress and anxiety. And I think
Yeah.
everyone should learn some of yoga or any other mental healing exercises, and they should have incorporate them in their lifestyle. I think it's very important in today's day and age.
Um, Amazing. I'm so fascinated by yoga, sort of spirituality. To India to go, and I went to this Ayurvedic retreat. And every day, every morning, it was a routine where we would get up for 6 o'clock and then, do like an hour. And I really loved it. But I don't know what it is about doing this in India and coming back to the UK. I just fell out of the pattern. But I will,
And
definitely look into it in depth and follow the point in your book.
oh,
I think it's really
yeah,
important for everybody to do, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
The way you're
I mean, yeah, get your copy today. But yeah, the thing to it.
sunlight, greenery, because I was literally in the middle of a jungle. So it just everything just felt so like peaceful. You could hear the birds, you could hear the insects, you could hear like the waterfall, and it just gets you in the mood. Whereas here, it's difficult to kind of even wake up early. But it's definitely something that is of
Nice
yeah
yoga talk. Thanks, Imrit.
thing.
Time for some rapid fire.
Thank you.
I promise this will be
Okay.
quick. And-
So yeah, I'm happy to
oh,
do the rapid fire.
good. Amazing. You've been fantastic. Okay, so brace
Okay,
yourself,
ask away. It's
right?
the yeah.
Okay, so one makeup product you can't live without.
My top concealer.
Okay, okay. So if you could do makeup for any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, interesting. Ooh,
Quick, quick.
uh, um, Priyanka Chopra. I'd love to do that.
Ooh, wow. Cool. Then, what's the most bizarre or unexpected makeup request you've ever received?
When I had a client that wanted me to not put concealer on her under eye area and do her whole makeup without concealer. That was a very bizarre request.
Okay. I'll come back to it. I want to know why. Okay. Bold lips or dramatic eyes?
Bold lips.
Okay. And one beauty trend you secretly dislike but everyone loves?
Yeah. Uh, White eyeliner underneath the eyes. I hate it.
Okay. Okay. So if you weren't a makeup artist, what would you be doing?
Mm. Okay, interesting question. I would either be an art teacher, to be specific, or textiles teacher,
Yeah.
or I would,
Okay.
this might sound a bit cliche, I would have been an air hostess. That was my dream job. I
Okay.
don't ask me why. I just used to. I think it's the whole traveling side of it. I just wanted to go to different countries, and I thought, what could I do to allow me to go to all these countries? So it was either these two jobs that I probably would have gone into.
Okay. Cool. Then the biggest makeup myth that needs to disappear.
um. Okay. Setting spray makes your makeup last. So that's one of the
Sorry, say
things
that
that
again.
everybody, in terms of clientele, setting spray. Clients think that setting spray makes
Setting.
your makeup last longer, when
Okay.
actually fixing spray is what makeup makes your makeup last longer because it's alcohol. Setting spray is not alcohol
Right.
based. It's more sort of water based. And what it actually does, it
Mm.
allows your skin to look more lived in. So if you notice when you put your
Mm.
makeup on and you might think, oh, I've put a bit more powder on, it looks very like flat. Whereas half an hour
Yeah.
afterwards, you might feel your makeup looks a little bit more lived in, or your natural oil start coming through. Setting spray
Yeah.
actually speeds up that process. So it makes your skin a little bit more dewier. So
Yeah. Okay.
I sprayed in my kit. That's my
Okay.
answer to that.
Cool. And what's the most common mistakes brides make when choosing their wedding makeup?
Oh, um,
Mhm.
they listen to a lot of people and they
Yeah.
don't they don't necessarily keep an open mind and think actually
Right.
this is an idea. They're very hell bent, some of them, on this is exactly what I want, including the hair and including the
Mm.
makeup, when actually sometimes it might not necessarily suit them. So when I do a trial, sometimes
Yeah.
I don't do trials, sometimes I'll see the bride on the day, but if they want to trial, it's a chance for myself and the client to build an understanding of what is it that they're looking for. So I'll then be able to advise them that actually you've given me this look as an inspiration. So let's incorporate elements of this as opposed to this is exactly what you want, because it might
Right.
not work. But we can definitely work with I can definitely work with her to create that look. Um, Another thing is
Mm.
sometimes there's quite a few people present when there's a bridal makeup trial, even though I do always say just have
Yeah.
one person there with you, your mum or your sister, because I think the more opinions you have,
Mm.
the more, and it's overwhelming
Yeah.
for her as it is, from choosing the outfit to the hair to the makeup.
Yeah.
I think that if she just kind of is a bit more open minded, then things will flow better and she won't be
Yeah.
as confused.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Describe your signature makeup style in 3 words.
Okay. Um, Soft glam.
Mhm. Three
Um,
words.
okay. So soft glam, modern, and
Yeah.
there's another word that I wanted to use. And modern. Yeah,
Soft glam and modern. Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Imrit. I had a really
Thank
fun
you.
conversation, and I think
Okay.
viewers will say the same. Where we introduced this rapid fire for you. I think we've never done it before. So thank you so, so much for
Yeah.
me today and having this conversation. Any closing
Thank
remarks?
you. No, thank you for having me. And yeah, I hope everybody enjoys this video. And if there's any questions, they can obviously comment below and I'll try and answer them. So yeah, thank you for having me.